There are no better buy lows at quarterback, wide receiver, and running back than Mahomes, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Kyren Williams. And if you want to win a league off of trade right now, if you want to take advantage of your league mates and steal away the best buy low at each position, these are your guys. The Fantasy Football Show begins right now. It's very easy to say, oh, Smitty, but Mahomes, he had a bad week one. He had a kind of mediocre 2023. I'm fine with that argument, and you have a case to be made. But I'm telling you right now, Mahomes has weapons we've never seen before. And if your takeaway from week number one is that this team doesn't have a different type of team than last year, that they're going to continue to kind of struggle during the season, maybe put it all together during the end of the season. If that's your takeaway, I don't know that I am much good to you, because I'm sitting here looking at this situation and I see nothing but value. I see a player that at the end of the year, we're going to reflect back and say, in hindsight, he should have been a second-round pick. Oh, Smitty, quarterbacks don't go, or quarterbacks should go early. Let me ask you a question right now. For those of you don't draft a quarterback early, people out there, when the draft is over, have you ever been able to go get a Josh Allen or a Jalen Hurts or even a Patrick Mahomes for the ADP value that was spent to get them? Meaning, can you offer players that equate to what would be like a third-round pick to acquire any one of those three quarterbacks? The answer is no. No one's giving up Josh Allen for even 12 or 14 overall value. If you think I'm wrong, go try and acquire Josh Allen in a trade right now. Offer your second round pick in a very loose conversation. Say, hey, what if I gave you my number 14 overall player for Josh Allen? They're going to say no, which tells you that quarterbacks are grossly undervalued on draft day. And unlike a car, when you drive it off the lot, you don't lose value, you gain value. Mahomes is, even in his state right now where he came out of week one, kind of shaky in terms of fantasy value. Not if you watch the game, but he comes out of 2023 with shaky value. Even Mahomes can't be had for like 3.1 equivalent type trade value. This guy right here, despite one touchdown in week number one, is going to score 40 plus touchdowns, in my opinion. He will throw, in my opinion, for over 40 touchdowns. He will score over 45. He has never had more weapons. You could say that a prime Tyreek Hill and prime Travis Kelce are at worst equal to a Travis Kelce right now, with a Worthy, a Rashee Rice, and a Hollywood Brown who hasn't even stepped on the field in 2024 yet. Mahomes is going to spread the ball around. There's no doubt about that. But when you throw for 40 touchdowns, and I believe he will, everyone's going to eat on a weekly basis. Worthy's going to be gold. Rashee Rice is going to be gold. Pacheco can eat even if all the wide receivers are eating. Kelce can still have a top, 3 or 4 tight end season. He'll have moments where he's tight end one. He'll have moments where he vanishes because everyone else is doing something. But make no mistake about it, this is the best buy low in fantasy football. He's pretty close. Kyren's pretty close, but this is by far and away, the best value in fantasy football. He was the best value on draft day. You can bet your bottom dollar that if his value's gone down even a little bit coming out of week one or stayed the same, he remains and is the best value in fantasy via trade. Now that drafting is over, via trade, he remains the same upside type play as he did walking into draft day. In the worst case scenario, whatever you paid to acquire him, you will get back with ease. He's a bona fide monster league winner, capable of 3 to 4 touchdown games almost every single week. And again, if you watch the game, you've heard me say this several times, and what am I saying when I say it? If you watch the game, you know that one touchdown was not supposed to be his outcome. You know that wide receivers dropped the ball, something I don't anticipate to be a regular thing. You had an INT off a tip pass. You had game flow that was just weird. Mahomes throwing 2 or 3 touchdowns by half in week number 2, by halftime, is something that I expect. I will be disappointed if Mahomes doesn't have a 4 total touchdown game to make up for his 1 TD in week number 1. He will be, at the end of the day, with such a big week 2, inside the top 3 QBs through week 2, through the first 2 weeks of football. That's how big his week 2 will be. And if that happens, if I'm correct, you will not be able to trade for him anymore. And in Dynasty, poke around. poke around in Dynasty, because even though his value won't have taken the tumble that it has in redraft, because people do know he's here to stay, but they're worried about the continuity of the current offense as well as the continuity he came out of 2023 with this offense. So people are worried a little bit temporarily, but they won't be long-term as much, but he's still going to be cheaper now than he ever will be. So inquire, go get Dynasty, do it live. Kyren Williams is the guy. He's the guy. It was proven in week number 1. Corum's not even the backup right now. I'm not saying that I don't believe in this cuff board and that eventually he will be, but you can almost throw Ronnie Rivers into the mix now as a must handcuff for Kyren Williams. But Kyren's the guy, and he scored a touchdown, punched in a very, very nice run, has some offensive line woes, no doubt about it. 3 guys are down on the O-line. This was walking into 2024 as thought to be the best run blocking offensive line in football. Number 1. But down 3 guys, it is a little bit of a mess right now. But the guy that can make this work when no one else can is Sean McVay. The quick pass game, the reemergence of Cooper Kupp, the ability to get Kupp the ball immediately upon snapping the football, makes defenses back up, spreads defenses out a little bit, gives Kyren room to run. And if anybody's capable of scheming up something to help mask and protect what's going on with the offensive line, it is McVay and McVay's system. His quick aerial attack, getting rid of the football fast. Stafford's the guy to deploy it. And I have no problems at all assuming that he's a top 5 quarterback lock moving forward. Make sure you cuff him. Again, Ronnie Rivers now enters the equation. Maybe you got sniped on Corum. You might want to go pick up Rivers just to have that guy, just in case he ends up being the guy. You might have a shot at cuffing it. But Kyren is a top 5 running back monster in the making for 2024. Off the back of his 2023 season, where he was the second best back in football, period, behind Christian McCaffrey per start. There was no running back even close to Kyren, even close to Christian McCaffrey. The numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. 67% of the time last year, he was a top 10 running back. 50% he was a top 5. He's a machine. He's a machine. He scored 15 touchdowns in 12 games last year, 12 rushing touchdowns in 12 games. What's he do in week 1? Rushing touchdown. What's he do in week 2? My guess is probably 1 or 2 touchdowns and at least 100 total yards. And the moment this guy hits that 1-0-0 in the rushing category for, let's say, week 2, he's off the table in terms of a buy low. Maybe even if he slumps the next game, people are still going to say, you know what? Kyren scored twice back-to-back games to start the year. He's the guy. He's the guy. If there's anybody that can be the number 1 rusher in the entire National Football League, that's a little bit doubted, but can be the number 1 runner in terms of rushing yards, in terms of rushing touchdowns, it's this man right here. I look at this man and I say, this is a bona fide top, not 5, top 1 to 5 running back going forward. And I'm buying him every single place I can. And given he had 2nd round value walking into draft day, you know that he hasn't climbed or exceeded that, because he had a 50-yard and a 1 touchdown game, which was good enough to keep him maybe right around that level, but not enough to bump him into round 1 in terms of trade value. So go buy low. This is the cheapest top 5 potential running back you could find via trade right now, and he can absolutely crush leagues for you, win leagues for you, dominate your opponents, and make everyone look ridiculous for even having a sliver of doubt. Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't think there's a wide receiver that had higher draft capital like Marvin, who was around 12 to 18 overall, that is cheaper right now. I think Drake London kind of is in the conversation, no doubt about it. Garrett Wilson had a bad mixed bag week 1. Good start to the day, and then he ended up having 1 catch in the second half. And Garrett Wilson's kind of a panic for people. St. Brown's a panic for people. All of those guys are great buy lows. London, St. Brown, Garrett Wilson. There are cases to be made that they belong here as well. But nobody has the upside that Marvin Harrison Jr. has physically, situationally, that is doubted right now. No one's doubted more than this man. No one has a better mix of doubt and upside than this guy, Marvin Harrison Jr. And if you can grab him at what is now looking like 3rd round equivalent ADP value, if you were to reverse engineer everything and draft over again, 3rd or 4th round overall value. He doesn't even sniff the second round right now if you're re-ranking for 2024 and drafting over again. And dare I say, many people wouldn't even take him in round 4. All these guys that have kind of popped up and risen up a little bit probably just move him straight down into the, 38 to 45 overall territory for some people. Not everybody, not sharks, not people like you and me. We laugh at that. But I'm telling you, you go take a stab at Marvin Harrison Jr., you try and trade a J.K. Dobbins who you picked up, or a player like J-Mo, who I love. I love J-Mo, but you might get MHJ straight up for J-Mo. You might be able to trade J.K. Dobbins or likely, or Jordan Mason and another player. Waiver wire fodder. Amazing waiver wire fodder. Likely, Mason, these are all players, JK, you pick up and there's value. There's no shame in that. There's no, hey, it's a Fugazi, something that won't maintain value. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that with any of those guys, but do I use that value that's the house's money to go get Marvin Harrison Jr., who I still believe can be a top 5 to 10 wide receiver? I didn't stutter. There's no equivocation there. I'm not hesitant when I say it. Marvin Harrison Jr. can still be a top 5 to 10 wide receiver. He was wide open in the end zone at the end of the game. It would have been a 30-yard plus play. That would have been a potential 10-point score. A 10-point total score. 6 points, 30 yards, reception, PPR. This is a 9 to 10-point play at the end of the game that would have vaulted this man's overall value into a territory where we're whispering about him being the worthy of the week. Worthy was amazing, was he not? Diggs, 2 touchdowns and only 33 yards. We're talking of Diggs. That one play where Marvin Harrison Jr. was wide open for a 30-yard touchdown in Kyler was scrambling around, to his credit, but if Marvin Harrison Jr. caught that touchdown, it would have changed everything about this man's value. Take advantage of it. Go dominate your league at the wide receiver position, trading for this man. These 3 guys help you crush your league. You trade low on one of these guys, you're triple stamping a double stamp. You acquire 2 of these guys on the low with your team. I quit my job. I come work for you. Okay, not really, but the Fantasy Football Show is here for you. I work for you. I'm live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm live additionally whenever news breaks. I'm also live a lot of midnights drafting, and I do uploads like this one. Premieres, uploads. No show, in my opinion, goes live more than I do. And no show, in my opinion, provides you more crazy, hardcore content all year round in bold stuff, not the cookie cutter stuff. We're not scared to make a statement. I'm not scared to tell you to cuff Mason and Garendo to CMC walking into your draft when everybody says you can't waste 3 spots on one position. How's it looking now, Bob? How's it looking now? I'm here for you. The Fantasy Football Show is your source. Now get out of here.